Hi everyone, my name is Anita Ladhani. I'm a licensed clinical social worker and an energy practitioner. And today I'd like to talk to you about sexual abuse. Let's try to define it and let's try to understand it. What is sexual abuse and why am I deciding to talk about it today? Well, sexual abuse is anything that a person may endure, regardless of the age, regardless of if you're a boy or a girl, that is anything sexual. So it could be where you're actually touched inappropriately, or you are, you might not even be touched, but you may be spoken to in a sexual manner. You may be exposed to about sexual stuff. You may be exposed to pornography. You may actually be forced to perform sexual acts on someone, or someone has performed sexual acts on you. It doesn't have to be penetration all the way, just molestation. And again, like I said, it doesn't even have to be molestation. Just talking about sexual acts with you or someone is sexual abuse. This is more common than we'd like to think. And this happens to our boys and our girls. I wish I was wrong about this, but I can't even begin to tell you how many grown men I have had the pleasure of either knowing as really good friends or working in the capacity of clients who have, said to me, had admitted to me that, yes, I was sexually molested at age 8, at age 6, at age 10. It doesn't matter. And this is boys and girls, men and women. So when we are a victim of sexual abuse, and really that's what you are, you're a victim and hopefully you're a survivor. There's a lot of emotions that one goes through. There's a lot of guilt that one experiences when we're in that position of being sexually molested or abused. There's a lot of guilt because what happens is a lot of times, especially when you're younger, your body betrays you, right? So what do I mean by that? Well, our body is wired for sexual pleasure. Our body is wired to feel certain sensations as pleasurable and certain sensations as painful, regardless of whether we want to do it or not. And so what happens is a lot of times when people are sexually molested, they enjoy it physically, but they don't enjoy it emotionally because they certainly don't want it. So there's a conflict within themselves because they wonder, did I ask for it? Did I enjoy it? Am I guilty? I mean, is this my fault? Maybe and so there's this confusion because your body responds. And it's more obvious with men, with little boys, because they will get an erection. I mean, little babies will get an erection if you stimulate their penis. That doesn't mean they're sexual. It's just a physical, response to sensation. Women, it's not so obvious, but of course, we know when we're being pleasured or when we're getting pleasure from it. Doesn't mean we enjoy it. Doesn't mean we want it. But our body betrays us, and in that confuses us to think that maybe somehow we're responsible for what happened to us. And I want to tell you, it's never your fault. It's never your fault if you were sexually molested. Now, I also happen to know plenty of, men and women who've said to me, well, I was sexually molested, but so what? It didn't bother me. Well, good for you. I'm grateful and I'm really happy that it didn't bother you. I'm grateful that you were able to compartmentalize that piece of your life and pack it away and box it away, and it never came out. Unfortunately, the rest of us are not that lucky. Unfortunately, it does come out at some point in our lives. And when it comes out in different forms, of course, leading to depression, anxiety, low self-esteem. A lot of times, either a victim of sexual abuse will become more promiscuous as they become a teenager, or they completely don't want anything to do with anything sexual, even after they're married and in a relationship. They just sort of shut down that part because part of their subconscious, has connected that sex is dirty, sex is hurtful, sex is painful. And so it's usually one of those two extremes, but a lot of people do manage to have healthy sexual lives in spite of being sexually molested. How do you, I realize that in talking about this, I realize that a lot of you will get triggered. A lot of you will remember things. And I apologize in advance. The intention is not to cause you pain. The intention is to bring awareness to a topic that we don't talk about in our society. We certainly don't address it, and we certainly don't put responsibility and blame where it is. So why do I bring this up? Well, how do I know so much about it besides the fact that I'm a trained therapist? Well, because I'm a sexual abuse survivor myself. And again, no shame in that. It just was what it was. It happened when I was very, very young. And for me, it started literally, I was, I think, 2.5, 3 years old. And it went on till I was 12 years old. And from my recollection, at least what I remember as an adult, when those memories started coming up, what I remembered was that there were at least 6 different people that had molested me from the ages of 3 to 12. Now, I'm not saying this to, ask for your sympathy. I'm not sharing this to, for you to feel sorry for me, because trust me, it's made me the person I am. Everything that I've experienced in life has made me the person I am. And because I'm aware of this, because I've actively worked and addressed this in my own therapy for the last 15 years, 20 years, since it sort of started coming up for me, I'm able to now, thank God, work quite efficiently and effectively with my clients who have been sexually molested. It's almost like I have a sixth sense of knowing when one of my clients has been sexually molested. So, no shame. And I'll tell you, if anyone, chooses to judge you or look down upon you, then shame on them. Because, last time I checked, there was only one God, and God doesn't judge. So, if anyone else chooses to judge, then they really should not, because they're not God, right? And so again, if you're someone who has been sexually molested and you're doing fine, great, no issues. But if you recognize that this is something that is impacting your life, what do you do about it? Well, first of all, let's acknowledge that's been happening. Second, therapy. I cannot stress enough how important therapy is. Talking to a trained therapist, a counselor, a psychologist, a licensed clinical social worker like myself, or a licensed mental health counselor, or a marriage and family counselor, a therapist. I'm giving you these different names so that you understand that any one of those so-called titles are all therapists who are more than able to work with you to help you uncover and release some of the trauma that is trapped in your body. I also know that just talk therapy does not work when it comes to trauma. It's important to work with someone who has been trained to work specifically with trauma. So do your research, do your homework, but go talk to a therapist. And again, own your story, guys. Own your story. There's absolutely nothing, shameful about what you've experienced, even if, regardless of whether it's sexual abuse or not. Even if it's your story where you didn't show up as your best self for whatever reason, guess what? That was the best. That was the best that you did, knowing what you did then. When you know better, you do better. So I hope you'll be kind to yourself. I hope you'll forgive yourself. I hope you'll reach out and get the help you need. As always, you can always inbox me, and I'm happy to have a conversation. I'm happy to direct you to where you may go next with this. And as always, love and light. Take care and God bless. Bye-bye.